And welcome back 6 months later to our next installment of I Have a Theory. Finally, I have at least the two that I've promised you and possibly two more. We'll see how that shakes out. I have moved my location to the kitchen because my roommate is not here to corral the animals, and so I was hoping there might be fewer interruptions this way. Although if I suddenly, frequently dart my eyes to the side, it is probably because I'm checking up on the animals and making sure they're not, killing each other or destroying the house. They don't usually, but they make sudden noises and movements. Anyhow, last time I promised you Schrodinger's love. And in fact, that is the topic of this particular segment of I Have a Theory. I do need a few notes on this. So I've got my notes on my laptop here, so another eye movement thing will occur. And the reason I need my notes is because there are two basic ways that my theories come to me. The first is one of those, the lightning bolt epiphany, I found the flux capacitor kind of moments that are so well known to the intuitive, extroverted, dominant, but also things, I don't know, pieces of information come to me through various channels, and some I pursue leisurely, some just happen in conversation and just because I know people to talk to and things. And people always wonder how I found out about this. Like I must have spent some serious time studying. Not really. I pursued it for fun, and this is what I got. Anyway, my theory of Schrodinger's love is one of the latter. I had lots of little pieces where I found them in different places, and I put them together to create this theory. So I'm going to have to tell you all of the pieces before we can get together to see what this theory actually is. So first of all, I get a lot of my information or my pieces and bits and pieces from TED. TED is lovely. If you have not discovered www.ted.com, go there and be happy for a very, very long time. Anyway, one of the things that I learned, not there, actually, this came from a conversation from a gentleman from my church. The power of decision. Apparently, in psychology, there is a new discovery about a subconscious process that operates in the human mind. When you have made a decision, decided to do something, or decided that something was true, there is something subconsciously that operates to protect that decision. Not that you can never change your mind, but it's harder to change your mind once you've actually decided something, right? So think about impulse buys. Once you have the thing in your hand or in your cart, how much harder is it to put the thing back than if you didn't pick it up in the first place, right? Or the foot in the door sales approach, right? So power of decision, keep this in mind, point one. Point two, synthetic happiness. This was from a TED lecture, Dan Gilbert and Dan Ariely. Fantastic lectures, at least two apiece. Find them, they're wonderful. In one of his TED lectures, Dan Gilbert, the psychologist, talked about there are actually two types of happiness. There's what we would think of as natural happiness, that is how you feel when you get what you wanted, right? And we assume that if you get what you want, you are happy. Actually, this kind of happiness is designed biologically to be fleeting, so that you keep doing those things that will make you happy. That's why people have more than one child, for example, or you continue to eat day after day after day. So that's the idea of natural happiness. But there's also something called synthetic happiness, another subconscious process that operates to make you happier with your lot if you are stuck, right? If you do not have any choices, or if the choice has already been made, you will actually, truly aesthetically, subconsciously, in every other way, find the thing that you have better than you thought before the choice was made. And the thing that you didn't choose, that was terrible. Not necessarily terrible, but it gets demoted in your estimation after you have chosen the thing that you did choose. Now, this sounds like a lot of crap, except that they proved it true on patients with very, very serious anterior grade amnesia, which means they could not form new memories. After 30 minutes, they would forget everything and start over again with a blank slate since the time of their brain damage. And even though those patients couldn't remember making a choice 30 minutes ago, they still found the thing that they had chosen to be better than they thought it was at the time of choice. So this is demonstrably a thing that happens in the human brain. So 2 subconscious processes so far: the power of decision and synthetic happiness. All right, next, the triangular theory of love. This came from Yale Open Courses Online, another fantastic place to get free random information. Robert Sternberg's theory of love is that it is composed of 3 parts. Complete love is composed of passion, which is physical attraction, intimacy, which is the sharing of secrets or the meeting of the minds, and commitment, which is obvious. And if you remove 1 or 2 of those elements, you get various forms of incomplete love. For example, passion plus commitment minus intimacy is fatuous love. So think drive-through Vegas wedding. Right. And finally, the same Yale lecture series by Paul Bloom, is the professor who is giving the series, suggested the theory of misattribution. That is that people sometimes may believe that they are in love because of something completely different. Okay, so for example, said Professor Bloom, if 2 graduate students go on a date to Starbucks and she orders decaf and the barista makes a mistake and gives her a double espresso, then on the way home, her heart is aflutter, her palms are sweating, and she thinks, gosh, this must be love. And that is where I'm thinking, no. I love Shakespeare. One of the plays I've done is Twelfth Night. My intuition screams like Sir Toby, I hate it. A false conclusion, I hate it as an unfilled can. I cannot accept the idea that people are regularly capable of believing that a caffeine high is love. I don't buy it for a second. Unfortunately, this is my intuition talking, and I'm in the habit of believing my intuition. It's usually pretty darn good, but it doesn't have the habit of explaining itself. So I had to sit back and kind of mull over, okay, so why don't I believe it? There's got to be a why, because my intuition is backed up by objective, impersonal thinking, largely. So why is it? And I went back to those above 3 points. So my thought is that once you believe yourself to be in love, you make it real. That's the decision-making process, or the decision-protecting process, the subconscious process that says, you've made this decision, now it's a thing unto itself, it will continue. People, okay, all of the points in this synthesis sound kind of fishy on the surface, but just think about it for a second, okay? How many times have you been kind of unsure about this person, but you kind of keep going, and even before there's a serious commitment, you're not even exclusive yet maybe, but you have this, your mind keeps returning to this person because it's there, like it's an easy pathway for your neurons to take. Okay, so a lot of people are going to take exception to that explanation, but Just think of it that way. You can also look at it in terms of Sternberg's complete love. So commitment is obviously a choice. That's the definition of commitment. And intimacy is also pretty much mostly choice because it is the action of confiding secrets in each other. There's an issue of, can you really have a meeting of the minds with this person, which may impede or facilitate intimacy, but there's still a choice involved with that. But what if your partner doesn't see the world the way that you do? Our decision-making process can emphasize the similarities and de-emphasize the differences for us to make it easier to continue to fixate on this person. And again, think about what's happened to you. How many of you have never fallen for somebody who was utterly and completely wrong for you? Really? Are there any hands up right now? Didn't think so. And was that not how it went down? Right? You start to feel, oh, I really like this guy or this girl, but there's something, it would be difficult for us to be together because, but that doesn't matter, right? Because you have decided, you've internally or externally or both declared that you like this person. And for quite some time, usually, it's really hard to get your mind off of them. Subconscious process, protecting that decision. Okay. But then there's the third arm of the tripartite love. What about passion? Surely you can't just decide to be physically attracted to somebody. I think you can, but even aside from questions of whether or not that is possible, it's that synthetic happiness thing again. Another subconscious principle that once you are committed to the idea that you are in love with this person, you will subconsciously begin to find them more aesthetically pleasing. And again, you're thinking, no, that can't be right. But how many times have they said that love is blind? I think that's what they're talking about. So that is my theory that I brought together in opposition to the theory of misattribution. However, why is it called Schrodinger's love, you may well ask? Well, there is an interesting result of carrying this down as far down the road as it'll go. First of all, for any of you who are unfamiliar with Schrodinger's cat, it was a thought experiment that was used to criticize quantum theory. And all of the quantum theory aside, the idea was that the cat would be both alive and dead at the same time, depending on whether or not it was being observed. So this is the undead cat that with alive and dead at the same time, Schrodinger's cat. It's a paradox. So you can get with Schrodinger's love.